everybody, I'm Ryan, and this is Matt. He's from Ren and Cuff. Is it pedals? Is it
Actually, we never
audio systems? Is it
just Ren and Cuff.
Ren and Cuff?
We'll stick in effects on there sometimes just for whatever. But as far as the company name officially goes, it's just Ren and Cuff.
Gotcha. He kind of specializes in like Muffy type pedals, right? You do a lot of Muffy type stuff.
Yeah, and then when we started off the company, that wasn't really, we just started off doing pedals, and then just through pulling apart old pedals, and I sort of I was actually remaking the Swollen Pickles, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Because Way Huge was done, and they hadn't done the Dunlop reissues, and I don't know how much of a story you want me to go into, but
whatever you want. If you want to tell a story right now, that's up to you.
No, well, I actually emailed George from Way Huge. I just found some email. I'm like, he's never gonna get back to me or whatever. But I just was like, hey, I'm doing these pedals. I just want to make sure like you were cool with it and he didn't care. And he like 2 months later he made back. He was like, no problem, man. Just watch copyrights. Like not to use the name Way Huge. And I was like, all right, cool.
There you go. You got a sign off from George. His last name is Tripp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trips.
I
believe it's plural. And yeah, years later, I became sort of, I don't want to say buddies, but we'd text back and forth and hung out with him at NAMM for a minute. And cool dude. And then when the reissues came out, I stopped.
Gotcha.
Because I was like, no one's gonna care. But for a while, I was the only one that was really like known for making the Swollen Pickle reissues, and I found it uses this chip instead of single transistors, and I sourced a bunch of them, and that kind of put me on the map. And then my buddy in Japan, this guy Tomakaz that does 9-volt, he one time was like, will you do a Russian, one of the tall font Russians? And I was like, maybe I could do that. And I ended up, I found one, and I was like, this thing is like not much gain. Like you got, you kind of dime it, but I mean, and then the output on it, you had to almost dime to get line level. Like they're weird. Some of them, there's like a few different ones. Some of them are really loud and fuzzy. Some of them are, but this one was really low gain. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna clone it exactly like that. Because everybody's with Big Muffs, it's no secret. It's not that hard to do a couple little mods to it and like soup it up and everything. And people are scared to do the kind of low output because it's not, like even the tall font now. If you put that next to one of the Electro Harmonics reissues, Electro Harmonics is like and like fuzzy and like big, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you put it like next to mine and you're like, listen to this and listen to this, it's like mine just sounds like because it's not. It's meant to have super low gain.
Gotcha.
And the bass players love that because it's got the muff characteristics, super low gain, so it retains all the bottom end on it. And honestly, when I made it, I was like, I'm just gonna clone it exactly like it is, and I ended up almost destroying a vintage one just by pulling every resistor out because everybody just looks at the stems and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna do that, but you don't realize that the component values drift and everything. So if you have a good sounding one, it could say 100K on it, and you pop it up because it's so many years old and everything, and it may be like 142K, and so rather than like looking at the scam, I made my own scam doing that, pulling each resistor out and measuring it. And
so you completely took all the components out?
Everyone, yeah.
From a vintage one, and then you put them all back later?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super worried about it because, I mean, they're cool pedals and all that, but it's like, it's R&D money. I mean, if you have to...
Totally. You got to break some eggs if you're going to make an omelet, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, and I ended up getting it back together, but it was a little painful when I was doing it. I was like, pulling these components up. But yeah, I did that and fiddled with it, and getting the right transistors is another one where people will just go like, oh, it uses these 2N5088s. Cool, I'll just buy those. And they don't realize that the 2N5088s from 30 years ago aren't.
Right, so the same thing.
So I mean, I'm giving away a little secret here. So with the transistors, I always sand them off, but because I had to dig around and find transistors that sound like 2N5088s, but don't say 2N58 on them, because my whole approach was I'm going to go for the sound, not the not the resistor values and numbers, because that's real easy to do, and you can do that and it'll sound good. You'll have a good sounding pedal. But
Sure.
that one, the tall font, I didn't think people were gonna buy it. I really didn't. I made it for the guy in Japan. I was like, it's low output, low everything. It doesn't sound real flashy when you plug it in, and it ended up being like put us on the map. That after the Swollen Pickle, people loved it, and a lot of bass players got a hold of it, and guitar, you can be a little overdrivey with it, and so I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot of times. I don't have another pedal. I'm like, I'm gonna sell the crap out of this. This is gonna fucking be, it's gonna be so great. And then it's like, yeah, handful sell. I'm like, cool. What else you got?
You make the Box of War, which is that is you, right?
Yeah.
I had an awful conversation one time with someone at NAMM where I mistook them as being you. And I started to talk to them about the Box of War.
No, it was me.
Was it you? No, I was talking about another person's pedal.
That was, you were talking about the Greer pedal. I can't remember the name of it.
I'm still getting it mixed up.
And you told me how much you loved it.
Yeah.
I was a dick because I just let you go on. I was like, really? Yeah. Oh, no, that's cool.
Hey, buddy, can I help you?
What's up, dude?
We're not going to play the little guitar. Oh my gosh.
You gotta keep this in the video.
I know. Go get mommy. Okay.
Thanks for the poo announcement. Appreciate that.
That's awesome. So, anyways, he slams the door. Anyways,
you don't do that when you go to the bathroom. You don't
all the time.
Everyone.
Well, someone's got to wipe me. Is the issue? But I did get a chance to mess around with your Box of War. Years back, we used to do this thing called wheel pedals, where people would send in a pedal, and then we would spin the wheel, and they would win a different pedal.
Yeah.
Out of like a selection of 10.
That was the big one then, right?
It was
the original.
It was the big one, and I just remember being so impressed with that thing because you get like that classic Big Muff experience with that thing. You get the box; it's just got this sound that I couldn't figure out. Am I just like pretending that this sounds good because the box makes me feel like it sounds good, or does it actually sound this good? And it's just it was just really satisfying experience having the big box and just big old click on it.
Those things are heavy as hell.
Great big muffy sound from that thing. So despite me having that embarrassing interaction with you over the,
that's funny. I've told that story several
the tar
times.
pit from Greer.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
And you told me how much you loved it. And how cool of a unique pedal you thought it was.
We were at a party, and I was
so Greer should be proud.
Pretty drunk.
I'm sure Nick's proud because you love his pedals.
But I love your pedals too. You left behind the. I can never figure out how to pronounce it.
Oh, the Caprid.
The Caprid. Last time you were here, we did a podcast with you, and this thing is fantastic.
And that's just I don't know my entomology's plants, I guess.
Is that the name
What's
of
it called when
a sheep or a ram or something like that?
Oh god, somebody that actually knows this is gonna slur me, but the genus I want to say, or the family, the Latin, whatever it is.
Yeah, Steve is a biologist. If he was here,
he could tell.
Not biologist, he's a scientist or whatever he does. He grows proteins, but he knows all that stuff.
Yeah, and somewhere I wanted to have it related to ram, but I didn't want it. Everyone was doing ram's head as the name, and and so I came up with that, and everyone's like, "Oh, cool, what?"
I get a lot of Muff style pedals sent here for demoing, and they just slip through my hands all the time. But this thing just kind of hits it. It's
nice.
It's one of those pedals. If I need a muff sound in a demo, this is what I grab every single time since you left it here. Nice. It's a great pedal.
And that's the quintessential muff sound. I mean, that's what they all spawned from, was those really early ones like that. And there's a bunch of wacky ones, man.
Mm-hmm. There's so many muffs out there. It's ridiculous. And then everyone's got their different version.
Well, even the electro harmonics, all the vintage versions.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like that, they're all...
EHX has so many different muffs.
No, but even when you go way back, there's so many of them. People, a lot of times you hear people say I love the Ram's Head muffs. They're so great. And then what they don't know is they'll be like, well, there's between 4 and 5, depending on who you ask, different versions of schematics in the pedal.
Right.
There's one that has this huge, I don't know why they did it, because it just it doesn't sound good. It's not. It's a terrible sounding pedal, and it's a Ram's Head, so people are not, get excited about it. And then I got a hold of one and I was like, this is terrible sounding. And I look and it's just that circuit's a dog, but there's 3 other circuits that they used in there that sound great. It's just this one rand. I don't know if they were just out of parts that day or something, and they were like, well, just stick this in here, and yeah, it makes the sound of fuzzes, you know. And then they maybe they were like on a deadline or something. They were like, that's fun. So it was like, this is at the early 70s. It's like I don't know what they did, but
I mean, even
it sounds
like
horrendous.
More recent stuff that they've done is like they'll slap muff on something, and like this doesn't sound like any like muff I've ever messed with. Like they have the Germanium 4 muff, and that thing sounds like this crazy gated like early 60s fuzz that has nothing to do with like a normal like heavy saturated muff sound. It's like buzzy and bright and gated, like I'm saying, and then you mix it with like the overdrive side of the pedal and it becomes a totally different thing. It's like they're just slapping muff on all sorts of stuff over there. And then I know they have, a lineage of like the direct like
just,
plug in like
just
modules.
So you know, I'm not going to really say much about that. I don't want to get
let's
I'll listen to you gladly. I'm not going into that.
I'm going to restart the record button on this camera because we haven't even gotten into this pedal yet.
That's the least exciting part.
But let's go over your new pedal.
Remember the podcast? We talked about the pedal for like maybe 5 minutes.
And then we just like random stuff. That's always fun, though.
Horrible and like inappropriate jokes.
I've been thinking about doing, because we don't do like really interviews here on 60 Cycle Hum. We'll have people as a guest on the show when they're in town. But I've been thinking about doing like more like a Skype-y interview type thing with different gear builders, but then never once talking about gear, just making it like a completely off-topic sort of concept.
Just brush over it a little bit and then.
I'm like, here's this guy. He builds this thing or whatever. Now we're gonna talk about like his favorite home recipe or something like that. Like talk about cooking or talk about movies or something. I'm cold pitching this right now in a recording. I don't know what I'm expecting to happen. Who knows if I'll ever get around to it.
Dude, it seems like with podcasts, all you need is an interesting conversation.
Exactly.
You can be like some dude that invented the lawnmower, and then you're like, you get halfway into it, and you're like, this is really interesting. I did not think that I was going to be that interested in the dude that invented the lawnmower, but like, this is crazy. There's one podcast.
I can't believe how many people died in the invention of the lawnmower.
Dude, there's one podcast that's really good, and the last episode was, why do thrift stores have that smell? And they
I was
break
assuming
it down.
It was like mothballs or something like that.
They break it down into how and all that. I haven't even listened to the whole thing yet, but I'm like, wow, the fuck? How did they come up with that? Like even the subject.
Yeah. I've wondered that though. Like, oh, there's that thrift store smell. Like, how long is that going to take to wash out of this jacket that I'm buying?
Or why do old people's houses always have a certain smell? Like,
it's all the thrift store
like my
clothes.
grandma's smell. I would walk into my grandma's house and be like, oh, it's grandma's house. I don't know what it was.
All right. Fresh clap in on this camera. Just so I'm just explaining what I'm doing here. Let's check out the De La Riva. Did I pronounce it right?
It's a Portuguese name, so technically you'd say De La Riva, but De La Riva, but no one's ever gonna do that, so we're just calling it the De La Riva or De La Riva. Portuguese R's are pronounced like H's all the time in that. So, anyways,
can I help you, buddy? What's that?
How'd the poop go?
Hey, buddy, you need to go talk to mommy for all this stuff right now. I'm recording, okay? Okay, well, you need to wait until I'm done, all right? I'll be done in a little bit.
So great.
This is what we get for recording on a Saturday.
Was so serious. I need potato chips.
I don't want to tell him, but we don't have potato chips right now, so I don't know what he's expecting.
Dad, I'm not fucking around right now.
I need potato chips right now, Dad. I'm asking you to go to the store with me. We're getting potato chips.
Then I'll leave you alone. It'll be cool. But...
All right. We're 15 minutes into this and we haven't even touched the pedal yet. Tell me about this pedal. It's got your 3 knobs that you'd expect from a fuzz. It's got your
3 knobs.
Bypass switch here, but then it's got a lot of other stuff going on. What can I expect from this pedal?
This is going to be, you're playing, and you hear it, and then you go, and then it's clean.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it makes it so it's not on, and then you go like that.
It makes it so it's on.
Not all pedals do that, but this one
It also
I
makes
put
it so
on.
it's off.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get that like that knot.
You get the not on sound, and then you get the on.
Yeah,
Or
you
the
don't
not
even
on.
you don't have to change plugs or anything.
You get
just,
the not on tone, and you get the not off tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully the on tone sounds a little better.
So, what do all these extra switches and dip switches do?
All right, the whole thing was inspired. Everyone thinks it was that I like knocked off Chase Bliss.
Chase Bliss didn't invent dip switch bass.
No, that's what
he just uses.
I'm pretty good friends with Joel.
We're all friends with Joel because Joel's like the friendliest guy.
No, he's a jerk, man. That guy's such a jerk.
Oh my gosh, celebrity gossip. Here we go.
Oh yeah, he's just
the worst.
He's out to get any penny he can from this industry, and he will step on people the first chance he gets.
Say that again into the mic.
The word user comes to mind.
Shouldn't we be like backlit and silhouettes when we're going to do this kind of show?
No, I hate to admit it, but he is like the nicest dude ever.
He is.
And I'm always looking for some sort of like, you can't really be that nice, but he like actually is. I'm like,
he's so nice that even my wife, who's never met him, like if I'm watching a video and he's in it, she's like, "Oh, I love Joel. There's Joel."
I'm pretty sure if Joel really wanted to, he could like sleep with pretty much any of our wives if he really put his mind to it. He had a little charm going on. He has this little like, oh, I'm not cute, but he knows he's cute.
Oh, he knows he's cute. Joel, you know you're cute. I've said before
stay away from my wife, Joel.
On the show, like if Joel showed up at my front door, like riding bareback on a white stallion and held his hand out, I would get on that horse with him and I'd ride away, like no questions. Like I would become his winter wife or something. I don't know.
He should be a cult leader.
Exactly. Joel should start a cult. It's the truth. It just is. He'd be so good at it.
No, I've distracted us once again.
I know, right? Matt does not want us to demo his pedal. Like,
no, I do.
He's trying to do everything he can to keep us from actually turning it on.
You know what it is? Is I do, but I'm like in a shop, like a lot of times by myself all day. So my employees are in the other room, and I'm sitting there all day long. And then the first chance I get to talk to like adults, because I go home, I have my kids, and then my wife is works and does all that, so we see each other a little bit. But when I'm like, oh, another adult that knows what pedals are, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you have a kid that poops too
and wants potato chips. All right, let's turn this thing on, and should we just start flicking switches and you can explain?
Yeah, well, what I was starting to say before you distracted me.
It's my fault.
Is so I'm not bumping my head into. What inspired it was the old Sans amps.
Okay.
The OG ones where they like they had PIPs, didn't have that many across them, but and I just remembered like with there's all the digital stuff out there and everything that where you can like you do set the sounds and then you set it into a bank and and everything and do that, which is fun and all, but it's like maybe it's just because me, I'm also, it always feels kind of out of control to me.
Sure.
Like I set the sounds in there and everything, and I'm like scared to touch it. You know what I mean? Like if I change this and I get lost in it and too many things. So I just remember that the first time I had one of those, my uncle lent me a Sans amp, and we were recording, and I had for something that my amp blew up or something like that, and we had to pay for this. This is back when there's tape. We had to pay for the session no matter what. My uncle lived not too far away, and he's like, "You can come borrow this thing." So I ran down there and got it, and it worked. It didn't sound like an amp exactly, but it worked. But I just remember it was such a satisfying feeling, just going like click, 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 and getting all the different sounds. And it had the little manual that's like, the hot California sound,
yes,
the tweed sound. You know what I mean? And it sort of sounded like that, or sort of saying, but it was just it was more like not even trying. I mean, like Kurt Cobain used them, so it wasn't even trying to get an amp. It was just like. You you fuck with it and then find like a cool sound, and you're like, well, I don't know what it sounds like, but it sounds cool. And so I just, I remembered that, and I looked at, like JHS has the Muffuletta, and somebody else has
Is
a
that how you
couple.
pronounce it?
How I pronounce it.
Muffuletta?
So.
I was never quite sure. I'm suck at pronouncing.
I've never
stuff.
heard it pronounced, so maybe I'm saying it wrong.
I've only had the sandwich once, and it was delicious. It was named after a sandwich.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Maybe I am saying it wrong.
I always thought it was muffuletta.
Maybe.
But the way you sounded it sounds better.
Muffuletta.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of porny.
Muffuletta. But
anyways,
let's get to I actually did.
I actually did have a point in there. Is that like there's that one which is cool. It has the presets, but you can't like tweaky on it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, and all that to say, it wasn't supposed to be like better or anything. I was just trying to find. I'm like, I can't do the preset thing because it's been done. Everyone likes that pedal. It's like cool and all that. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? Just do that again? You know what I mean? So I came up with that. I was like, it'd be cool. You just tweak all these parameters, like pretty much any parameter you want in there.
Yeah.
Like manually. So it's like click. I don't know. I just
so it's
love
all
that.
sorts of just different settings.
Yeah, I mean, it's we have a really like a really cool manual that I made that has like, man, I keep fucking doing this. that has like, vague sort of settings that you can do. Like this one's, all fonty. This one's, like tripod. But since you are limited having the, the basically on-off switches in there at different points in circuits, you can't really go like DAW font, click. Tripod, click, ram's head. You just can't do it because there's not many. So we had ones that kind of approximate it, but more than anything, it's like I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. It's like a 8-page manual on there.
Oh my goodness!
That tells all about. Am I 8 or 10? Tells everything about it. But I preface it all with, if feel free to just plug this thing in and start fiddling. That's what you're going to end up doing anyways.
Totally.
And if you don't care about all the technical stuff, don't worry about it. Just set it aside. But and that's the fun of it. I mean, it has, there's so fucking many pedals out there these days. I'm sorry for cussing so much. There's so many pedals out there these days. I don't even know. I think we're the only muff, unless someone tells me otherwise, that has the ability to toggle two of the transistors inside between germanium and silicon, not to be confused with germanium diodes, clipping diodes. They're not clipping diodes. This is the actual transistor that you're picking one and then kicking to the other. There's a million pedals that have silicon or and that's just a matter of it's super easy to do. You just throw it on top. But this, we have, it's hardwired, so you can like go bump, and you're using like, the old school FUZZ phase germanium transistors, or you bounce back to the other one, and I was like, I don't think that's been done. So I wanted to add that in there, and everything else is just, you tweak the EQ. Like this, on this part is the tone configure. So that's basically that section just decides what this does. You know what I mean? So you're reconfiguring that boom to boom.
So you're building your tone stack with this section here.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And then you're deciding like one of the one that's called input gain. That one is super simple and I love it. I like the sound of a muff with the volume rolled back on the guitar.
Uh-huh.
And so instead of doing it on the guitar here, you just throw in more resistance on there. So it just has a rolled back sound, which, it has a nice like fuzz on top. It's not just like full on. And
let's just explore it a little bit.
And guess what? I did the math on it, and I even checked with like several people. I was like, this can't be right. There's over 8 billion combinations.
Oh my gosh.
And I know it doesn't seem right. I look at it, and it's like, no, there's not 8 billion. And I checked it with 3 people. I went online and went to a math forum.
Uh-huh.
And I explained it. I was like, I used light bulbs. I was like, let's say I have, this many 20 different light bulbs and I want to have different states of them on and off. Somebody said the same number, so I was like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, because you look at it, I still don't believe it. But it's 8 billion, not million, billion.
8 billion different combinations across
of these switches and then these
and then those switches.
That's not even counting what happens with the knobs.
Well, yeah, the knobs are infinite. Like how many options is that?
I just didn't even factor that in. So
infinite.
I'm trusting
possibilities.
Mathematician people. It's not me going, there's over 8 billion.
All right. Now I'm going to turn it on and we're going to flick switches and see what it does. We're 25 minutes into this.
Same thing happened when I did the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. It's all been fun. We've been having a great time.
At the podcast, Steve went from a little bit buzzed to blotto by the
end. All right, here's the clean sound. Big A chord here. And here's the fuzz.
When you get the pedal, out of the box, it tells you it comes like this.
Okay, that's set
up.
up.
And that's set to be, the straight up standard muff. It's kind of in between a ram's head and a tri-pi. It's meant to be that, so that's your starting point.
Gotcha.
So it comes like this. That's what these settings are right now, and then so as you fiddle with it, that's what it's coming off of. So
okay, I'm just gonna start flicking switches and turning knobs.
Yeah, you do it. It's no fun for me to do.
Well, you can do it while I'm playing too.
No, you do. I like to see what it's like somebody that just picked it up and I'm not even there, and they're in the they got it home and they're excited and turn it on. I'll fiddle a little bit later, but.
I'm gonna explore all 80 billion combinations.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long video.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long video. This video is gonna be 20 years long.
When you get it, we send with it this little handy little purple pick with a real pointy end, which also serves as a nice little. Oh, here.
I had one in my hand and I dropped it.
Serves as a nice little.
Ah, yeah.
So it's got a dual purpose.
That's your little flicker thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Input lows.
You can do it with your fingers, but it's a little clumsy.
Well, I've got plenty of practice from Chase Bliss pedals.
Yeah.
Third stage. I don't even know where to start. Let's we'll do the transistor.
It looks crazy, but it's. I know you want to play the freaking thing, but it'll it's a lot simpler than you think. The muff just basically goes. You have your input that sets the gain, and then goes into another one. Sets the gain, and then goes into another one. So the whole reason it has so much distortion is you're just stacking all these gain sections together, and so this is just. You're messing with the first little stage, you're messing with the second little stage, you're messing with the third little stage. It's very literal.
Gotcha.
On how it lays out. So you can ignore all those little things. Some of them are subtle, some of them are major.
Let's just get crazy.
Now we're at the germanium transistors that get a little, fuzzier and less spiky. And favorite settings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love what happens when you get into this setting. That's why I went to it, because I have that one memorized. It's a setting I like. Anyway, It's got like ballsy output, still has the high end on it. Tone section doing as like little as possible and like as little lows and stuff. It's just like the thing, so it's fun to start from there too. Then you start. Makes me think of, I don't know if you've ever seen the really early tone benders, like the Jeff Beck ones, where they're almost useless because it's just like it's all treble. They're like, but they're fun. And so I always think when you do that, I always think of that. It's like this kind of useless fuzz sound that's really spiky, but it's fun. Old old 60s like fuzzy licks.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome.
It's kind of neat. Go ahead and I'll just start fiddling.
Yeah, I'm loving.
That's I never done that sound before. I'm like, oh, that's a cool one.
I'm loving these broken, gatey, like 60s sounds. Like that's where I really like to live a lot of the time.
Because you flick a few things and you're right back at and like muff sound in there. Especially with the tone knob one, I'm flicking them and you're hearing different things, but it also is deciding what's happening during this sweep.
Gotcha.
So there's even some ways to do it where you're setting, so let's say, between 1 and dimed, has this sweep where some of them you're taking like, well, I hope I can explain this in a way that's easy to understand. So you're taking like, let's say you're like, oh, I like between 1 and 5. So you're taking that range and spreading it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So which is cool because it'll gives you double the fine tuning in there, which is like a neat thing. And there's also they're very interactive. So you may have one setting and you start flicking a couple others and you're like, that's like really subtle, Change a bunch of other stuff around and you hit that same switch and all of a sudden it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like it's neat that way. I'm having fun with this.
Yeah.
I never get to have somebody else play. Where's your meter so I can look when I'm...
It's the last two.
Okay, cool.
Something magic happened there.
In the manual, there's 3 pages, and I'm really proud of the manual in this. And it comes.
You really built the pedal to justify the manual. Like
Pretty much.
You wrote the manual now I've got to build the pedal.
It comes with a little pencil, and then a bunch of pages of these blank. So if you find one you like, you can color it in, or the other trick is snap it with your phone. But you can go like, oh, I love this setting, and then color them, so you can come back to it later. It's not as convenient as a digital blink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's cool.
You have that manual, you have a little piece of paper. You're gonna find that
Yeah.
For years and years and years, you're gonna be able to reference that. Like your phone photo is gonna get lost on your computer somewhere, and you're like, oh, what day did I take that picture? Did I put it on Instagram? No, I didn't do it there.
Yeah. and there's also on the side there's a bunch of downloadable. You can print as many of them as you want, but that's also important for somebody who's in a band and they're like, okay, I need that sound this part during the set, or I need that sound always, so you can jot it down as my fave. I'm
gonna have to rewatch the video just to see how you were getting into those broken 60s sounds, because that's like like the like garage rocky, like early surfy sort of stuff. That's where I live, and like I wasn't expecting to get there with something that's kind of based in a Muffy sort of concept, you
Oh
know?
yeah, I mean a muff. You know, you start messing with enough things, it's not even a muff anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Which is cool because you can get.
The other thought I was having is like, what if you could go back in time and like show this to the first people building the first fuzz pedals? You know, like, oh hey, check this out, 80 billion combinations, no big deal.
Yeah, if we flatten them all out, you have a 1 in 80 billion chance of being able to find that exact combo. 8 billion, not 80
But
billion.
they were starting out with sounds that were just so like thin and over the top sometimes, and like to go from that, like using this sort of device, and then ending up with like a rich, like thick saturated muff tone would have like blown their minds a little bit.
Well, this has been disputed, and but I kind of believe it is that the original fuzz tones were made to mimic horns,
Right.
Which and that might be one of those things that people just say or whatever, but it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you know, on a Telecaster, I think Leo Fender originally had the like neck pickup to mimic a bass, which sounds nothing like a bass.
They all
But,
had these
know,
crazy ideas back then that, you know, like things could be other things. And then like it just became like their own sounds, you know?
Yeah, and there was lots of situations where some, you know, like, I don't know if you know who Roy Buchanan is, but like, he would be in all kinds of situations where they're like, oh, we need a slack key. That's another thing. Yeah. We need a slack key player, and they didn't have it, and he would just fake it on his Telecaster because you could get these little sounds and stuff, and they'd be like, that's good.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the pedals were like that too, where it's like, oh, we can sort of mimic that little fuzzy sort of thing on a horn does, and then quickly everyone discovered like, oh, that doesn't sound anything like that, but it sounds cool.
I think the original idea with Satisfaction, I feel like I've read Keith Richards in interviews say that like he was pissed that they didn't replace that part he played with a horn section, because that was the intention, and that might be where like where that the lore comes from. Yeah, because he was like, oh, this kind of sounds like a horn, like replace it with a horn section later on, and they just kept it. You know?
Yeah, and you can hear that too. You can hear how, you know, very could.
It has that like marching band. Yeah. That's like, and then like marching bands play it now, and they don't even know how ironic it really is.
Or like they have the old band teachers that are like, let's play some like modern rock stuff. And like, yeah, from 100 years ago,
60 years ago. Thanks, cool teacher.
I was in marching band. I was a trombone player.
Nice.
So was Trent Reznor, believe it or not.
That makes sense.
So
yeah,
I wasn't trying to be like Trent Reznor, but I found that out later. I was like, oh.
I tried to learn to play trumpet in 4th grade, and I just couldn't get my lips to work right. But I learned like all the fingerings.
Did you still have the beard?
No, I didn't have the beard in 4th grade. I shaved it.
And they wanted you to shave it, and you were like, no.
I shaved it for 4th grade photos.
I was picturing you like 4, like, no, I'm not shaving my beard or my mustache.
But I was able to like pick up a friend's trumpet a few years back, and I was able to like conceptualize what I needed to do, and I was able to squeeze a couple notes out. So I've wondered, like, should I get back into trumpet? Should I pick up a trumpet again and see if I can do it? But I'll probably never actually get around to it.
Oh my god, if there's someone watching this that's like a cool little like doodle artist, can you please draw a picture of Ryan as, how old were you?
4th grade.
Ryan in 4th grade with a beard and trying to play a trumpet. Oh my god, that would be the best thing ever.
The thing is, like, I learned like how to play all the fingers, and I learned to read sheet music, which I can't do anymore for guitar. Yeah. But I learned how to do it with the trumpet.
Yeah,
and then I forgot about it until like till I was like 13 or 14 or something like that. And when I wanted to learn to play guitar, like I lost all my music knowledge by that time. You know?
Wow. Yes, I had because I played trombone. I only played trombone because I played bass in the concert band, like 8th grade. And trombone, you would like, if we were playing bass and there was no electric bass part, you would read the trombone music. Oh, I'm sorry.
If you're gonna move, you got to move the mic with you.
Lavalier.
I just need to hire someone to operate a boom mic in here.
But you would, if there wasn't an electric bass part, they would give you the trombone music.
Ah, okay.
And then I went to high school, and one of my best friends was in the marching band, and he was like, "Come on, you should do it." And I was like, I'm not one of the cool kids anyways, so what could it hurt? And but you would all when you were reading music, you would like kind of half read it, like you had to learn these songs anyways because you're going to be marching, and you like some people had those little music things on there, but nobody had that.
I wish I had that on the guitar, like have little sheet music just on the headstock there.
You can invent that, dude. You just blew it. You just gave it away, man. You just gave that shit away.
There's no invention there to copyright.
No, when you do the video, you can be like, I just wish I had. But you would, I'm all this to say this is the reason I kind of would forgotten how to read. I think it's because it was sort of half reading, but then you would listen to the person next to you to get your parts down, and then you would just eventually memorize them, and you wouldn't even look at it anymore, and you just use your ears. So I've done the same thing. Went back years later to read, and I'm like,
well, I existed in my 4th grade like school band for way longer than I should have because I was sitting there doing the fingerings correctly, and the teacher is like, he can't hear how I'm playing in the mix of everyone else. I was like, oh, he's playing fine. I can see him playing there. I just wouldn't blow. I wouldn't like make the sound.
I thought you were gonna say I just my ears got me by and I could hear him play.
No,
I just didn't.
I could never get my lips to work right for the trumpet.
So I just didn't do it.
Yeah, but I would like pretend that I was doing it and do the fingerings correctly and read all the notes. But I wasn't actually making the music, and my parents were paying for a rental and everything like that.
You should have done like sax or something. You
could have,
you could decide.
I should have done violin or something. Is what I should have done.
I like the picture of you doing trombone or doing trumpet best though, with the beard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we
Other thing it has is there's but there's a few years of Big Muff where they had the tone wicker. They had it on the op amps, one version of them, not both, and a couple others where the tone wicker just basically means you bypass the whole tone section, so you get a big output on it. You don't get any mid scoop, like that. Well, I put that on here, so when you kick that up, what it does is like then this whole tone configure section does nothing.
Gotcha.
You're just skipping
it. Just bypasses it.
Yeah, and it
says tone bypass right there. That's what it does.
It's the tone section bypass, otherwise known as tone wicker with the EH stuff and all that. So you can just hear the. It's not like a little boost. It's like.
It's a big boost.
Because because all the tone section is passive on all of them, so you're not if you don't know anything about pedals and stuff like that, you're not like actively making something happen when you mess with the tone knob and the EQ in there. It means you have this signal here and you're removing things to get the tone stuff.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So you have to have a recovery stage after that to bring the gain back up. And this is just saying, oh, we don't all that stuff, bye, and you're just jumping it and going into a recovery stage. It's just like, you know what I mean? Which is a really fun sound too, and bass, man, sounds really killer on bass. But so then you go back to all the other settings you got again and all that. So go ahead and play a little more and all that. This is my favorite combo of the transistors. Is this guy on germanium and this guy on silicon.
Both pointing at each other.
Right. It's important to know with it too that as you're going through and flicking this stuff, you can kind of get the illusion that like, oh, up must mean more,
right?
And that's not the case. You're doing different things within the circuit, so up might you might flick something up, and then there'll be less of something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's not.
You did something in there where like I don't know how it's going to translate to. This stopped recording. I don't know how it's going to translate in post, but like you flicked something and all of a sudden it felt like it just filled the whole room differently.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
And I
like,
wish I could say, oh yeah, I blah blah blah, but I flicked some switches.
Yeah, well, there's 80 billion combinations. It was like you find that switch and you're like, whoa, something happened, and you write it down. Keep a note of it later and just write "whoa" next to it.
And the other thing I think a lot of people will find useful is if they're like, I like the idea.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Another thing people will find useful is if you're the kind of person that's like, oh, I love the idea of Muff, but there's just these things about it that I don't like that make it kind of unusable. Is not only are you going through here and like adding stuff, but you can take out those things you don't like about a Big Muff.
Yeah.
To get all the richness and all the fullness of it and everything.
It's kind of the salad bar of Muffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. That's the that's the idea. And
that's what you were thinking when you came up with it. You're like, I want to make a salad bar, but it'll be a Muff pedal.
More of a hometown buffet.
So which one of these switches is the chocolate fountain?
Well, that's at the end.
How do I put like chicken strips into the chocolate fountain with these switches?
I wish I could tell you the chicken strip setting. I don't know. I know the ranch dressing setting is right there. You just click that.
That's important.
But the ranch isn't that good at hometown. It gets a little water.
Well, it's been sitting out.
I had a friend that used
days.
to tell me this isn't another restaurant. My friend used to work at that was similar to Hometown Buffet, and he told me there's all these lazy kids that work there. You know what I mean? Like when you're a teenager, you don't give a shit. And he would for the dressings, they would like, you're supposed to sponge off the thing by the dressing every day. And he's like, sometimes we would just like push the stuff into the dressing thing and then stir up the dress. And everyone that worked there knew don't have the salad dressing.
There's like a green skin on the top. Like, I just stir it to the bottom.
I was like, thanks for telling me that, dude. Now any buffet sort of dressing is ruined for me forever.
Yeah. I have a bandmate.
But this ranch dressing, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't flick the stuff in.
I have a bandmate that's worked at bars and stuff like that, and we play shows at little divey places, and he's like, "Oh yeah, don't get drafts, don't get draft beers at this bar because they definitely don't clean the lines. Like I know people who work here, they don't." It's like, well, I've had a lot of drinks here in the past. I guess I'm out of luck. I've been drinking really bad stuff.
This reminds me, I just did this last night. My kids always ask me like, "Dad, how many jobs have you had?" And I feel like sometimes people think like, oh, I just started doing pedals and I lucked out or something like that. No, my friend. I made a list, and this isn't even all of them. Okay, this is. Let me look here. Matt jobs. Job. Okay, this is the ones I could remember, but there's quite a few more.
Oh my gosh.
There's retail cashier, and a lot of these are when I was in bands and stuff that. And I worked for a few weeks, and just be like, I don't want to go there anymore. But retail cashier, gas station attendant, burger cook at the A&W restaurants. Do they still have those down here?
Not around here.
Yeah,
I think they still exist elsewhere, but not here.
Art department assistant on commercials, production assistant on commercials, convalescent home, telemarketer for 2 days, waiter in several places, Pizza Hut. That job was actually cool for a while. All the free pizza you could do, and we would steal beer off the taps.
I know someone who worked for Pizza Hut, but he did it way too long, like a year max, and then you should be out of there, right?
Yeah, I mean, any job, there's lifers at any job.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, whatever makes you happy.
They were starting to move him into management, and he's like, oh, I gotta get out of here.
Dude, there's a dude at the Vaughn's down the street from me who's worked there forever, and he's a bagger, and he's like the happiest dude I've ever met in my life. He's like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I guess that's the same as being... I was a billionaire if you're happy all day.
What if he is a billionaire and that's like his...
And he's the best freaking bagger you will ever see, dude. He lines all the stuff up perfect.
I was a bagger for years during college. I was not having a good time. And I was not good at it because I did not want to try to be good at it.
I mean, some jobs are just jobs.
Yeah.
Wait, I'll finish the list here. So I had waiter, Pizza Hut, busser, restaurant, dishwasher at a bakery, worked at a psych hospital for a little bit, a locksmith shop, McDonald's was my first job, and a car wash, and those are the ones that I could remember.
Right.
That I had, but there's more than that. Those because I also didn't live at home, so I had to have some kind of job to at least, pay the rent. So I burned through a lot of jobs. I was showing that to somebody last night.
So do you do pedals full time? Is that your full time gig now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
It's been for years. I mean, I just start off like anybody, building them and eBaying them.
Gotcha.
And then as the thing started to roll, I eventually had to just get out of the house, get a shop, and we're not Earthquaker devices or anything.
Sure.
But we have.
I mean, who is Earthquaker is? That's who is
Earthquaker boss.
Right.
I would be Earthquaker in a second if I could.
Yeah.
I'm not like I want to be an indie pedal. I'll sell out in 2 seconds, man. You give me some money.
It's not selling out if it's what you wanted to do from the beginning. That's what I always say.
I posted a thing like that on Instagram that it was like the guys that you would meet that were, back. I don't know if you were in punk. You said you were in punk bands. Okay. Where you meet the guys like, I'll never sell that, man. I'm never going to sell it. And you're like, it's because no one's offering you.
Yeah, no kidding.
So many of those guys that had no money and shit. And you'd be like, dude, if somebody put $1 million check in front of you, you would.
No, in one of my bands, we would always say something like, I'd sell out right now for a hot sandwich. Like, that's all it would take. I'll write any song you want. Like, I don't care. Just feed me.
And we were kind of in that whole, like, Blink when you lived down here in San Diego, that whole sort of thing, too. And we didn't really have that. We were like, yeah, we'll sell out. But we hung out with all the dudes.
All the Southern California punk bands are like, well, I got to make money somehow. Like, rent is ridiculous. It's expensive.
I mean, really, what are the
here.
odds you're going to make money hitting a guitar? I mean, they're really slim. So if you hit that point, it's like...
doing all this stuff is the most successful I've ever been and will ever be at music. Like, that is the reality.
I did have to... He had to move his Lamborghini while I was trying to pull my Jeep in to get my gear in here. Yeah. And he's like, flipped out on me. Don't scratch the Lambo! I was like, take it easy, bro. Yeah. Not everybody has a Lambo.
It's not like it's a messed up Nissan Sentra. It's rusted out with surf racks on it. I would never drive a car like that.
He was out polishing it. Like... with a baby seat in it was the funniest part.
It's a convertible Lambo with a baby seat in it. You're technically not supposed to have them in the front seat, but there's not a back seat. I mean,
but it's a Lambo.
It's a Lambo.
Yeah, man.
If I get in a crash, the baby seat's not going to matter. Everyone's going to die. Like, that's just Lambo life, That's the title of this episode right here, Lambo life. Well, we were going to do
my Lambo's a good 2 years older than yours, I think, so the value's not worth it.
Oh man, once they get over 2 years old, I just throw them away.
You lose interest, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, this is an old car. Like, I don't want to drive anything that's got more than 8,000 or 10,000 miles on it, because that's when they really start to break down. I don't want to.
And I never thought I'd say this, but my Porsche collection is just kind of over it.
Yeah.
You have 2 warehouses full of Porsches. And
you get every one every year in every color, and you're just kind of like, oh, what's left?
Yeah, and you've spent,
they're like tube screamers,
$15 million, and you're like, I know, 15 million is not that much to me, but I could use it for something else.
Yeah.
So
put it in the trust fund.
I could use it to redo the kitchen.
Yeah, redo the kitchen. Yeah, totally. Again.
Exactly.
We were gonna spend some time doing some show and tell with your guitars, but we spent almost an hour eventually getting to the pedal and then just talking, which is fun. I'm sure everyone's going to love this episode.
Oh my God, it's 5.
Yeah.
I really did not.
But I've been playing your Eric Johnson Strat here.
Yeah, it's my baby.
Which is just a treat. This is a snack of a guitar.
And it's actually becoming, I don't know what the vintage line cutoff is. I don't think it qualifies, but it's like 2005? Something.
Is all this wear on it? Is that all you?
Yeah, that's all real.
All that relic? That's a natural relic on there.
And they did it. I mean, everything is like how Eric wanted it. It's like a thin. He wanted the red, exceptionally thin over the gold because I guess when they do.
Oh, you can tell just how paper. Yeah. Paper's not that thin.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you can scratch it with your finger. You can scratch it because Cherry Burst is done over gold. And a
lot of people don't realize that it takes layers of multiple colors of paint to get like the difference between like Dakota Red and Fiesta Red and things like that.
Yeah.
It's not the top coat that does it; it's the stuff underneath because the paint isn't perfectly like opaque. Like light passes through it a little bit.
And I'm sure there's like for the big manufacturers that crank them out. I'm sure there's cheaper ways to do cherry burst now, but this is done with the
But it's gonna relic so cool, just with little
nitro
bits of
and all that. Yeah.
gold poking through here and there. Cool guitar. And then you've also got one back here that I didn't even play. I was playing it earlier. I'll grab it.
Oh, you mean the Schecter custom?
As I ding it against other guitars. Yeah, you brought this Schecter guy here, and this is a prototype.
Yeah, show him. It even says.
We'll get in under this camera. Prototype on there.
And yeah, I've become friends with Michael Ciravolo at Schecter, and
He's the boss. He's the top dog.
He's the president. So
He's
I don't
the
know
president.
if there's.
They had people had to vote him in.
I guess owners above. I don't know, or I don't even know. Maybe he's owner. I have no idea.
He's up there.
But yeah, I mean, he can kind of do whatever. And we've always swapped pedals for like random stuff and guitars and all that kind of stuff. And I was totally did the like little kid thing, like when they had the custom shop stuff come out. It's crazy expensive because they didn't have it for a long time. They had it in the 70s or whatever, and then didn't have it, and then they brought back the custom shop USA made stuff. And I was like, gee, I wish I had one of those.
Oh, those sure look nice.
Well, I wonder what that would sound like if I was playing it. And somehow he worked it out for me, man. He got me one of those and got me the prototype and like nice case and everything. And yeah,
this is a beautiful guitar.
Yeah, it like,
and it's got that like fast modern, like high fret kind of feel to it. Like,
yeah, and like you said, the fret ends are like butter on it.
Oh yeah, super like smooth. Like the edges of them are so round they look like little like crystal balls, basically. Like you can see the whole room reflected in the edge of the fret. They're so round.
Yeah, so I don't know how he pulled that. I was like, really?
Yeah.
You sure? And it's got these kind of locking and tuner things that I like. I can't deal with the real like lock ones. They always like, you know, like the ones where has the nut that's locked.
Oh yeah,
I
mean like a Floyd nut.
Like the real, yeah. But that's just got the ones where it clamps the string in really tight. So
those are great.
Stays in tune like crazy. You can beat the crap out of it. It stays in tune. So
it's just got that light, like resonant feel that you get from like a really nice high-end guitar where like the person who made it really spent some time picking the wood and being like, oh, is this the right piece here? Nope, put it in the trash. Here's the next one,
I think he might have some of the original guys, because if you don't know, Schecter was known for hot rodding Strats back in the day. I think like you said, they modded existing.
Yeah, they
Strats.
Modded stuff, and then they
They were like the Robert Keeley of, of guitars. How he
they were
started
like one of
with
the
first,
modded. They were one of the first companies to come out with like aftermarket parts for Fender stuff, so you could like fix up your own stuff. And they were doing mods and then they started building their own stuff. And then at some point, I want to say in the mid '90s or early '90s, they shifted into what they are now as being more like a mid-priced kind of like a Guitar Center or Fodder kind of brand, which is fine. Their guitars are great still.
Yeah, I mean, the mid-priced ones are they're mid-priced ones. I mean, that's like kind of, you can only do so much with that, but I mean, when they did the custom shop thing again, which they didn't do for a long time, I'm a believer now.
Yeah.
They're really cool. And this part I like. I don't know if it actually serves any function or anything, but this little slanted deal here, I'm like, that just looks cool.
Yeah, the neck plate and the neck joint here, I don't know how well you can see it from that camera over there, but it slants like a good like half an inch from the back of the plate to where it meets the neck. It just makes it a little bit more comfortable to wrap your hand around there. It's just a subtle little thing I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but it makes total sense and it's really cool looking.
Yeah. So good stuff.
Yeah.
I brought it for Ryan to check out.
I like it. Yeah. I also like, you were saying that you had them do this. You pushed all the controls.
No, I didn't have them do it. It originally came like the way you liked it, where there was no tone here.
Gotcha.
It just had volume and then a master tone.
So then you squeezed in the second tone there.
And it had like a hot rodded setup.
Yeah.
But I just like the standard way that strats are set up, with the exception of I like tone control on the bridge.
Gotcha.
So I did that, but so if it looks a little bunched up, it's because it is.
But I think that's
I was
cool.
just like, I can fit the tone knob in there.
I like how bunched up it is. I think that's a neat look. I like how you've mixed the black knobs with the white pickup hardware and stuff. Cool guitar, man. You brought some cool stuff over. All right, well, we should wrap it up because this has been an hour. Thanks for watching, everyone.
How long were you planning on it being?
I didn't have a plan.
Like 20 minutes or something? Probably.
I was hoping to be a 5-minute demo. It's fun to
and
hang
I would have no comment. I'd just be like, Ryan, come on. This is the pedal. This is what it does.
Yeah.
That's what this switch does.
We're going to go through 80 billion settings right now. It's fun to have builders on the show. It's fun to have guests. I just sit around and like chat and hang out. And you're fun to hang out with. So I have no problem going for an hour. You want to go for 2 or 3? Should we keep rolling?
I'm a wild, fun guy.
By the way,
when I walk into the party, people goes, fun's here.
Wrap it up. Everyone who's not fun, go home.
I do jokes and magic tricks.
If there's any other builders out here who like watching the show, like watching what we do, you're in San Diego, want to come hang out, just hit me up. Find me on Facebook.
Please.
Let's do stuff.
I'm lonely.
My kids always ask me if he can poop. It's a lot of fun over here. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for watching.